fellow ink drinkers, and welcome back to the Blind Girls Book Talk podcast. My name is Aria.
And I'm Belle.
And we are two legally blind sisters who love reading and love books. And so what we've done is we've created this show in order to talk about that. We talk about a wide variety of bookish content, and that can range from bad retellings of stories, book to movie adaptation comparisons, buddy reads, recent reads, nostalgia reads, bookish challenges. Really, the list does go on and on. But today what we're actually going to be doing is we're going to be doing a book worlds that we want to visit episode. So pretty much in our list of ideas, we thought it would be fun to do just a whole episode where we talk about all the different book worlds that we personally would want to visit for a little bit of time if they were real and if we could. And so essentially, that's what we're going to be talking about. We're not really going to be going into much about the books themselves necessarily, but we are going to be just talking about, the world and why. So I think we'll just kind of go back and forth. We'll have Belle pick a world and then I'll go and just kind of go back and forth until we've mentioned a few. So Belle, what is one book world that you would love to visit if you could?
Okay, the first I think is just the obvious to any bookworm, and that is Harry Potter.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I feel like that has to be just a staple in any bookworms want to visit worlds. You can go to Universal and do the Harry Potter world, but
but to actually
get magic, you don't get the full magic, everything there is kind of just oh, this is normal.
Yeah, it's magic, and it's as magic as you can get in the real world. But it's not pure magic, which I would agree with that, honestly. And that was one I was going to talk about later.
So I was so glad you gave it to me first. Because I'm just I don't know any others off the top of my head. So this gives me time to think.
Okay, well, fair enough. And I mean, honestly, that is kind of a staple for really any bookworm. Now, for me, I feel like my first one is not going to be a surprise to anybody who has listened.
Night Circus?
Yeah.
Yep.
Anybody who has listened to the show for any period of time, and that would be, of course, the circus from Night Circus. I would freaking love to visit that place so much. I would adore it. I want to go there. I would like to live there. I just love that. I love that circus. It is magic and it is lovely, and I would love to go there. What's your next one?
My next one, I'm going to say this one. I don't know if this one necessarily counts. I mean, this one would also be no surprise to anybody who listens to this podcast, but the time of stalking Jack the Ripper.
Victorian England.
Specifically during Jack Ripper's reign of terror.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, that's
just because I'm weird.
That's not surprising.
Yeah, no, that's not surprising to anybody who has listened to this podcast, because I'm a strange human.
Yeah, just a bit, but that's okay.
Yep.
That's okay. So now my next one, it might be a little odd, all things considered, but there is a series. It's called the Bargainer series, and it is by Laura Thalassa, Thalassa. And essentially it's kind of about a girl who she makes a deal with this fae guy, and eventually he kind of she kind of has this crush on him, essentially, and then something happens and she kind of sends him away for 10 years, and then in 10 years he finds her again and was like, hey, long time no see, and then it's a romance, they fall in love, yada yada. But his world, his Fae world, seemed so interesting because there's kind of like the one place it's kind of like a bunch of different islands that kind of all go together. Like, I don't know. It just sounded like a really cool and beautiful place to visit. So I'm just kind of like, I would like to go there. That sounds like an interesting time. So that would be kind of another one for me. What's your next one?
I don't know. Maybe the world from Blood and Ash.
Okay.
I don't know. Just because I want to sword fight and stab people with daggers.
Okay. Fair enough.
I mean, some of the stuff seemed cool, I think. I don't know. I mean, mine's going to be very boring. I'm not very much a fantasy person.
This is true.
I'm going to be boring, but I remember liking the combat scenes and just being like, oh, swords and daggers. I wish that was socially acceptable.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay, now my next one, I don't necessarily know that I would necessarily want to visit this world. And here's why I'm torn about this. It's Camp Half-Blood from the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series. Okay.
Oh, we have yet to talk about that one.
We do, because I actually probably need to do a reread it for a nostalgia episode, to be perfectly honest with you.
I won't touch that series.
But, so here's my thing. I loved the Percy Jackson series as a kid. I adored it. But even though I adored it, part of me almost wouldn't want to go to Camp Half-Blood just because of the whole camping thing. Like, the camp part is what bothers me. The idea of kind of being around a bunch of demigods and like the gods and the goddesses of Greek mythology, like I'm here for that. But the whole camp part is where you lose me just because I hate the outdoors.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, for me, like, I'm about 75% way there. If you figured out a way to get around the whole outdoors thing, I would 100% be there. It's just the camp part. That's the problem with that.
Oh my gosh, Speaking of that, that's going to tie into my next one. Forgive me, I do not know the actual name of the book or series. I remember I read it in middle school. If anybody knows this book that I'm going to be describing, please let me know, because now this is going to bug me and I know I'm never going to find out the name to this book. But maybe Aria will read my mind and know what I'm talking about. Okay. In middle school, I read a book, and it was kind of like Percy Jackson. It wasn't Percy Jackson. It wasn't that. But it had the same vein, except it took place in New York. Modern New York. And just like these like, oh shoot, what are the things in mythology? The demon things. The Titans. Titans? Is that what they are? The bad things.
So there's the Titans that came before the Greek gods. They were kind of like the rulers. Okay,
not that. Continue. Greek gods are here. What are the evil things? What did Hercules battle?
He battled a lot of stuff.
What were the main evil things? Oh my gosh, read my mind.
There was the lion, the Hydra. Like, are you talking Disney Hercules? Or are you talking like the 12 labors of, well, Heracles, I think.
Okay, what did Hades rule over?
The underworld.
No, the evil things that like were under his command.
Tartarus?
No. Oh my gosh, what?
The Fates? Like, there's no...
Okay, what did Hercules Disney battle?
Okay.
What were those things called?
He fought... Are you talking about in the big battle at the end of the movie?
I guess.
Or are you talking about the Hydra, the thing that he cut off a head and another head grew out?
No, the end things.
Okay, the end things he fought were the Titans.
Yeah.
And then the Cyclops. Are you talking about a Cyclops?
I think I mean Titan. I don't remember
Belle.
their minutes since I read this, okay? I, don't remember much. I remember it's modern New York. I remember there being a Pegasus. And I remember, the daughter is, apparently the daughter of a god. But, it's, really weird. And, she has to battle these, titans. I don't remember much. I remember it being really cool. I think it was a girl. It may have been a boy. I don't even remember.
Belle, you're making this sound like Percy Jackson, which is my problem.
It wasn't Percy Jackson. I know that. No, it was a boy and a girl. They become friends. It follows a girl. There was also a little love thing where I think she falls in love with the guy, and there's a Pegasus, and these titans are destroying New York City. Somebody help.
Belle, I'm so sorry. Normally I can read your mind, but legit right now, that is a whole jumbled chaoticness that I don't know how
what this book's called
to figure that out. Oh boy.
Anyway, but it was Olympus meets New York.
Olympus meets New York.
It was cool. Yeah, if anybody knows what I'm talking about, please save my brain.
Okay, great.
Take a hot minute to describe your next one, please. I'm going to try to look this up.
Okay. All right, fantastic. So, another world that I think it would be neat to visit in a way is and I don't have it pulled up, but I need to read more of them, to be honest.
I may be breaking Google, by the way.
Okay, great. But there is a series in which essentially it's kind of like fairy tales meet steampunk. And the steampunk world in that book seemed like a very interesting place to be. Because I think it had it not only was steampunk-esque, but it also had not werewolves, but different kind of animal shifters, that kind of thing. And so I feel like that world would be very interesting. Actually, I haven't read a lot of steampunk stories. I'm trying to find some good ones. If you've read any, let me know, because I've been trying to find some good ones and I've been failing. I did like Heather. I think Heather Dixon is the author's name, but she wrote one that was called Illusionarium, which was steampunky. But the thing is that one was set in a Arctic land, and I don't want to be cold, so I wouldn't want to visit there necessarily. But I did like that book. Then there was one other, I think it was called The Invisible Library, that I read. And it was also kind of the same kind of deal that it was, maybe it's not The Invisible Library. I might be wrong. I'm not 100% sure. Whatever book I'm thinking of, it was kind of the same deal, that it was steampunk-esque, but it also had kind of magical creatures. I think there were dragons and some other kind of creatures as well. So I'm down for visiting a place like that, to be perfectly honest with you. All right, I think we have time for one more.
I still can't find this book. I may be breaking Google to try to find this book.
Okay.
I'm sorry. This is going to bug me. Please, if somebody can make sense of my brain rambling and you know what I'm talking about, I remember the cover too.
What did the cover look like?
The cover had New York City kind of burning in the background, and a white Pegasus flying carrying a guy and a girl.
I don't think I've ever seen this book in my entire
You wouldn't,
life.
because I read it in 7th grade and you were still in college.
Fair.
Oh my gosh, this is gonna bug me. Okay, another world. Again, no surprise to anybody, but A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. Just because it's a small town with characters who murder cases. I wouldn't feel so alone.
Fair. Well, the last one for me, I think, is one that isn't very well known. And it might be a little random, but there is a series that is called Fablehaven. So there was a series that I read as a kid that it was about these kids that their grandparents kind of own this magical, I don't want to say menagerie, sanctuary is what it was. Oh, you have it.
I think I remember it. Hold on. Keep going.
Okay. So there is a magical conservation place, essentially, that they kind of keep these magical creatures, safe from the world and that sort of thing. And honestly, that kind of place, or like a place where like magical creatures can just kind of be, like there's another series that's called the Folkhaven series, that it's kind of like this town that is just filled with a bunch of supernatural creatures, essentially. And so like I'm down for like something like that. Like either Fablehaven or Folkhaven, I'm there for. All right, what is the name of this book?
Yeah, the name of the first book is The Flame of Olympus. It's the Pegasus series. Synopsis. A young girl, a winged horse, and Olympian war make an adventurous start to an exciting trilogy. When Pegasus crashes onto a Manhattan roof during a thunderstorm, 13-year-old Emily's life changes forever. Suddenly allied with a winged horse she's always thought was mythical, Emily's thrust into the center of a fierce battle between Roman gods and a terrifying race of multi-armed stone warriors called, I'm not even going to try that, the Naiads?
Okay.
Emily
Naiads?
must team up with a thief named Pollen, the goddess Diana, and a mortal boy named Joel in order to return Pegasus to Olympus and rescue the gods from certain death. Along the way, Emily and her companions will fight monsters, run from the government agencies that is prepared to dissect Pegasus, and even fly above the Manhattan skyline. All a part of the quest to save Olympus before the Olympic flame burns out.
Okay.
Yes.
So why I was confused is because that definitely is talking Roman versus Greek. And yes, they're similar, but also they're different.
Dude, I don't know. I was going off my top of my head. Okay? It's been for a hot minute since I've read this. This came out in 2013. I believe I read it right when it came out.
Well, I'm proud of you for...
I figured it out, though.
I'm proud of you for figuring it out, though.
Yeah, I think I only read the first 2 books. I definitely read the first, and I definitely read the second, because I remember that cover. I apparently did not read the... Oh, apparently there is more. Apparently there are 6 books. I did not read the 6 books.
Good to know. Good to know.
I remember it being a great series because, like, it was like Olympian War meets Manhattan. Yeah, I'd like to be there. Yeah, that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you would.
Yeah.
Now, actually, the one I'm surprised you didn't say was like the Regency era.
Nah. I'd rather Victorian than Regency.
Okay, fair enough.
Because in the Victorian era, I can get away with running my mouth just a bit more than I could in the Regency era.
Fair. All right. Well, that about does it for today's episode. We want to thank you for coming along today as we talked about the book worlds that we would love to visit or maybe live in, but mostly visit. Of course, if you like this episode, if you like what you've been listening to, please consider sharing the episode with your friends and following the podcast. We would really appreciate the support that gives us. And if you don't want to, hey, that's fine. But like I said, we appreciate any and all support. And then what are we going to be talking about next time?
Next time we are going to be doing a recent reads episode.
All right. We will see you guys next time then. Bye.